Hey, Stewart's Chapel, this is Don Pierson and Don Counts behind the camera. We're at the museum here in Fayetteville, and this is Tuesday's devotion. And 3 devotions ago, I shared with you that I was using a kind of an outline or what a pastor named Mike Mazzalongo uses to talk about 4 callings of God. And those callings that we've looked at so far were the calling to salvation, calling to sanctification, calling to service. And the last one that he deals with is the call to suffer. The call to suffer. There's 2 passages, and there's actually tons, but there are 2 that we will look at today. One is in 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 5. And 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 5. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start in verse 3 because it's a context. We are bound to thank God always for you, brethren, as it is fitting, because your faith grows exceedingly, and the love of every one of you all abounds towards each other, so that we ourselves boast of you among the churches of God for your patience and faith in all your persecutions. In other words, persecution is personal to them, and tribulations that you endure, which is manifest evidence. There it is, which is manifest evidence of the righteous judgment of God, that you may be counted worthy of the kingdom of God, for you also suffer. When it manifest, which is manifest evidence. The fact that they have endured, have been patient and faithful in the midst of persecution is evidence of their salvation being real. That's not the first place. Jesus said, if they persecute me, they will you. And Jesus said that we had to have a cross. The path of suffering is part of God's calling upon us. If you'll remember, in Paul's calling, Jesus spoke to him and said, he is a chosen instrument to the Gentiles, to kings and rulers, and to the household of Israel, but also to suffering. Another passage is found in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 11 through 12. This is a faithful saying. For if we died with him, we shall also live with him. If we endure, we shall also reign with him. If we deny him, he also will deny us. If we are faithless, he remains faithful. He cannot deny himself. Peter, in his book, deals with the reality of suffering in Christians. The American church is so far removed from the type of suffering that the New Testament talks about. But you do understand that the believers around the world, the suffering is not foreign to them. It is a very common thing for them. I believe that the time of American Christians of no longer being persecuted because of their Christian faith is very short-lived. In other words, I believe that believers in America, the persecution on them because of their faith will continue and will increase in great measure. You see, we're not only called to salvation, and we're not only called to sanctification, and we're not only called to service, we are called to a cross. And that cross carries with it suffering. We have a calling to suffer. Now, is that a call you have embraced? Love you, Stewart's Chapel.